anything. He's been picking up these pieces a million times. Yeah. If he loses it, it means he cannot hold on to it. So nervous is he. That's a key element in the World Championship match. When you play your first game in your first World Championship match, you cannot be prepared, basically. There's no way to prepare properly for that.
That's fair. Actually, you know, I will say actually, like, maybe not Henrik's perspective, but definitely Magnus's perspective. This is one of the very few things in chess that actually, like, I'm not an expert on. Like, this is not something that I can actually, like, give, like, an expert opinion on, because I've never been in that situation. Of course, I play the candidates, which is similar, but it's not quite the same. Sound okay, you guys, or is it too loud? I think it's okay, right? I'm sure I feel some kind of nerves. Okay.
We are back in the Take studio, coming to you from Oslo, Norway. And right now, in a secret location somewhere in Asia, an 18-year-old is preparing for the biggest moment of his life. Gukesh is the chess prodigy that Magnus Carlsen describes as a mystery. He not only has a chance to become the youngest world champion in history, his performance recently has made him a big favorite to win the match against defending champion Ding Liren. In this episode, we're going to get to know the young Indian a little bit better. We're going to hear from his father. We're going to hear from his Indian teammates, from Gukesh himself, from Magnus Carlsen, and we're going to hear from the main expert on raising a chess genius. Henrik Carlsen, welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much, Kaya.
You actually, Henrik, you've helped us sort of decorate the studio by letting us borrow some of the trophies, some of the props. It's a huge collection of stuff that you guys have received throughout the years.
Yeah, it is, and I haven't got full order and control over everything, so I'm very glad that you took some important things so I know where they are.
Win-win situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also noticed that you have a huge collection of books. It's almost like a library up at your house, and I bet a lot of parents would love to read your book, a book written by you, Henrik, about racing.
By the way, you guys, I'm going to tell you this. I think I've said this before, but it's actually a little bit absurd how many chess books my stepfather has back in New York in his room. Like, if I had to take a guess between, I mean, just like chess related books, period, like what's in print, I'm betting that he has something like 300. I'm going to say 300 chess books in my stepfather's room. So it's kind of insane, actually. Like, when you think about the world that we live in now versus the world that, like, we grew up in, it's just absurd. Like, I could literally spend the rest of my life in my stepfather's room reading books, and I probably would die before I finished reading all the books. So it's kind of absurd. Magnus's dad is about, I think, 2000 level. My stepfather was a FIDE master. His peak, I think, his FIDE rating was like 2300-ish. But that's did he train me? Yes. So some of the basic stuff I learned was from him. I also would say that what I learned at the time was very, very good, but chess is very different now. Like, the things that my stepfather taught me at the time were very, very useful, but now chess is so much different that, like, even the openings I learned, probably I would have to do things completely differently now. But anyway, that's just a sidebar. Let's keep going with the video.
Champion, about all the places you've been, all the people you met.
Well, I think for the time being, I will try to share some ideas and thoughts and histories here with you as a start. And no, there are no immediate plans for a book.
I'm definitely going to try to dig into your memory and everything you guys have been through. But I want to start by getting to know you a little bit better.
I grew up in a family of 3 children.
Okay, so before we keep going with the video, I'll answer a couple questions, then we'll just go straight through it. Does your stepdad still play chess? My stepfather plays chess, and you guys are gonna like this, because I do get some of this from him, of course. But he plays a lot of Puzzle Rush. Now, my stepfather is 72 years old. He's not super young. Obviously, when he plays regular terms, his rating is now like 2100, so he doesn't really play that much. But he's probably spends at least 2 hours a day playing Puzzle Rush and getting angrier and angriest. I guess you can't really say angriest in this context, but yes, he plays a lot of he plays Puzzle Battle. Puzzle Battle, the one where you compete against someone else. And you know, like, I know this is not like my greatest moment, so I probably don't need to bring this up, but you know, I remember when I was streaming that fateful day when I played the Bullet Chess Championship, like, my stepfather was sitting out in the living room and he was playing Puzzle Battle. So, like, I actually heard him consistently, like, sigh, like, like stuff like this over and over again, which did not help my mood on that day when I played against Ali Reza. So, like, it's pretty common that when I see him around, like he spends hours basically playing Puzzle Battle. That's what he does. Obviously he's old, so he's not great with the mouse. I think his Puzzle Battle rating is like 1680 or something. Like it's very low, of course, because like he just, you know, I mean, the hand-eye coordination, especially at that age, is not going to be great. So yeah, it's just what's his chess.com username? I want to add him on chess. Yeah, you want to add him so you can challenge him every minute to a Puzzle Battle, right? You want to challenge him to Puzzle Battle, right? That's what you want to do. Of course, that's exactly what you want to do. you literally want to hit Puzzle Battle every minute. Okay, let's keep going with the video. I think let's get going.
And I was very much into numbers, and I was considering studying economy. And my father, the engineer, he said that that's a brilliant idea, but I think you need an education first. So I ended up becoming an engineer as well. And in the engineering community in Norway, he was a bit of a well-known figure. So occasionally I was recognized, as the son of my father. And now for 20 years, I've been the father of my son. So that's my main role.
Story of your life. Well,
and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah. And how did chess become a part of your life? Because obviously we know that Magnus started playing chess because you were a chess player.
Well, now you got me started because it's an interesting story. I played some chess as a kid with my father, but he was a rather poor chess player, so I beat him quite a lot. I joined the club together with my brother, and I was probably a bit arrogant, thought I had some talent, and then some of these small kids in the local club, they beat me, and I was a bit surprised to see that. So I never figured out what it took to become a good chess player.
Yeah. By the way, this is actually a pretty common story. Like this story you'll hear like around the world. Like it's very standard. Like someone plays against a parent, or they play at home, or they play against like their friends. I'm talking pre-computer age, obviously. And then it's like you think you're good, and then you go to the club, and there's somebody who just like crushes you. Same thing with like school too. It's the same thing. It's like you feel like you're really good, you beat your friends, and then you go to school chess club, and suddenly there's some kid who's like 2100. So it's a very common story, very, very common.
It turned out that these small kids, that was Simen Agdestein, who became one of the strongest players in the world, and a footballer, and his brother Espen, who's been our manager for many years, and also Berge Østenstad, a third Norwegian grandmaster who's 7 or 8 times Norwegian champion. So there were not some arbitrary kids. Unfortunately, then my son later came back to the club and restored family honor. So.
Very nice. Yeah, full circle there. And you later obviously became sort of a full-time.
Wait, my stepfather has 70,000 games on chess.com. Wait a second. Sorry, wait, what? Sorry, wait a second. Wait a second. Sorry, I got to take a second to look at that. That's not good. That's not good. I'm trying to find his account actually. I don't see it right off. I don't see his account right off. So unless someone knows it, I actually don't know it myself. Yeah, I don't know it right off. No, let me see if I can find it. Oh, it shows up. Oh, wait a second. What is this? Sorry, quick station break. Let's take a look at this. Okay, it says online now. Online now is not a good thing. It's 11 o'clock. Why is he on chess.com? Addict much? That's the first thing. Secondly, wait, he has 70,000 games? Wait, what? Is he puzzle battling? Is he total history? Yeah, I think you guys can see it now. Okay, so yeah, this is shall we say not particularly great to look at this. Yeah, like 70,000 games, that's not good. That's not good. 70,000 games is not good at all. I have a 3-0 score against him. You probably flagged him 3 times. It's only, excuse me? I don't think I've even... Have I even played 70,000 games? I played 17... I have 17,000 bullet games on chess.com. That is not a good thing, you guys. That is not a good thing at all. That is really not a good thing. That is not a good thing at all. I don't even have 70,000 games on chess.com as a whole. Like, I don't even have 70,000 games. That is ridiculous. I've played 58,000. No, I know it's the couch for 2007, but I'm betting you that, like, the amount of game... He did not play on chess.com until probably, I bet, 2019. And he's not retired either, by the way. He's not retired. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. He's not retired. That is just ridiculous. I'm just going to say that right now. This is just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if there's a way. I don't know if there's a way that someone can actually go through and tell me when he started playing actively. But I guarantee you it's not from 2007. I guarantee you that the game started like in 2019. I could call Danny and ask. Yeah. The puzzles 7,000. How many puzzles have I done? Wait, 1 second. I know we'll get back to the video in a second, but now I'm just curious. He's done more. He's done more puzzles than I've done too. Like, that's just disturbing. That's just really disturbing. I'm just gonna say I've done 4,000 puzzles and he's done like 7,000. Like, again, I don't know what's going on here, but that's actually a little bit silly. Yeah, that's silly. Click his bullet stats. Yeah, I mean, that's just absurd. That's just absurd. And you're on 8 hours a day, yes, which makes it even crazier. But yeah, anyway, all right, let's get back to the video, you guys, and let's keep going with this video. But that was fun, actually. That was fun. 70,000 games. That is not a good thing. My stepfather would probably beat Magnus's father, although Magnus's father is considerably younger, so that probably the drop off is a little bit less. Magnus's dad, let's just assume he's 2000. He's probably like 1900 now. My stepfather's probably 23. He's probably like 2000, 2100 ish. So it might be quite close. But let's keep going with the video.
Chess dad, but what did your life look like before Magnus became such a big name in the chess world?
It was still quite popular to join the oil industry. So I worked for 15 years in the oil industry. And then I was fortunate enough to start working for Magnus 18 years ago.
Wow.
I think both my wife and I, we really tried to make sure that his sisters would benefit as much as possible and have as little as possible problems due to him being famous and especially successful in what he did. So we got to travel a lot together. And I think in general, the girls are quite happy about what they have experienced. And now some of them are probably coming to New York for the Rapid Blitz also. So we're celebrating Christmas over there together.
You mentioned your wife, Sigrun, who tragically passed away a few months ago. I hope it's okay. I asked how it's going with all of you, both you, Magnus, the whole family.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, cancer took her this summer after a few years of illness. And that's pretty hard for a family, of course. But the kids are grown up now. And I think overall, we've been very fortunate in life. So we'll just have to make the best of it.
And no doubt, Sigrun, and you provided Magnus with sort of the best possible conditions to follow his passion for chess. I remember you told me once that at 12 and a half, you took Magnus and his siblings out of school for a year. You traveled around Europe. He was able to play chess tournaments. At the end of the year, he was actually a grandmaster. But also doing this journey as a family, it must have been fantastic.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out that when we went on this trip, it was kind of a dream come true of homeschooling our children and showing them a bit more of the world. So the emphasis was not on Magnus's chess career, basically. We didn't want to put the pressure on him and make that the key focus of that year.
I have a big impression that it was a lot about fun. It wasn't about...
Someone in chat just said, chess.com Battle of the Dads. Location, Las Vegas 2025, New Year's Day, $100,000 prize. Exactly, yes. But like, actually, you know, this is one thing that really gets overlooked a lot. You know, in the chess world, you talk about if you do the math, your stepfathers play 30 games a day for 7 years straight. Yeah, I don't know what you guys want me to say to that. I don't know what you want me to say. He plays more chess than I do. All I can say is that some people are addicted to chess, and being addicted to chess is let's just say, I mean, everybody's got their addictions in life. It's probably one of the tamer ones that you can have, but yeah, I'm just gonna say it's disturbing. It's disturbing to me. But anyway, the point that I was starting to make about this is that when you look at this, one thing that's oftentimes overlooked is the sacrifice that are made. So like Magnus' dad frames it in the light of like, you know, they wanted to travel and homeschool. But you know, all these things, they do cost money. It's the same thing, whether it's homeschooling, whether it's my stepfather, you know, teaching lessons in New York and using that money to send my mom and myself to Europe to play in tournaments. It is really a sacrifice. And I don't think it, you know, I can't stress it enough. How much it means. And you know, recently I saw Gary. Okay, I won't say anything more than that. I saw Gary a couple days ago, actually, when I was in New York, and even Gary was talking about his mother and some, you know, like the sacrifice you make, like going everywhere, rooting for your children. And it's really a thing, like the sacrifice that parents make for kids when it comes to chess. If there was a story that I really would want to focus on, that would be something that I would consider doing, like a documentary or something along those lines, because I think that's something that's a very human story. It's very real, and it's something that a lot of people can relate to in a different kind of way than just looking at a player like Magnus or myself, where, you know, we're these, you know, we're kind of these geniuses. We're really good at chess, but it's not, I mean, most people aren't like us, like, not to flex or anything, but most people aren't like us. So it's a thing. Call my stepdad and ask what he's doing. Yeah, just get my phone and call him and be like, yo, why are you on chess.com right now? You should be in New York City teaching chess. What's going on? Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Discipline. Was that controversial?
Well, we did get a lot of advice, for instance, from Russian trainers, and how.
Yeah, by the way, for someone who's saying that Daniel's played 200,000 bullet games, and I'm gonna start going through the video again. I'm not gonna get sidetracked, but if Daniel's only played like. He's only played 3 times as many games of bullet as my stepdad. And Daniel's like, what, 25? I mean, I don't care. 25, 30, doesn't matter. Daniel's literally like, I mean, a third of the age of my stepfather. Like, that doesn't really reflect very well. That doesn't reflect well. Maybe his lessons consisted in playing bullet. Yeah, he's on Zoom playing bullet during the whole lesson. Yes, exactly. Anyway, let's keep going.
He needed to work a bit differently on chess, and
not healthy
they said,
behavior.
well, to become an IM, he really needs this repertoire. Well, he didn't. He became an IM, and then, well, to become a GM, he needed to have this repertoire, and then to become a world champion, you definitely need that repertoire.
Right.
Sure, he had the real repertoire even then, but he knew kind of a lot about everything in chess.
Yes,
and that was his strength. And that's why I think people talk about his good intuition, but to me, it's because he's trained that part extremely. That brings me to the story about Kasparov, you know, when...
Let's do it. Let's hear it.
Kasparov came to Oslo in the winter of 2004-05, spent some time with Magnus a day, and I think he was impressed and liked it, and Magnus was very impressed. He said now he suddenly understood how little he understood by talking to Kasparov.
True.
And then we went to Moscow on a training camp with Kasparov. And Kasparov concluded, well, he's very talented, but he's playing too much and his calculations are not accurate. He needs to work discipline now for a couple of years. Then he can become a real top player. And then Magnus, he didn't want to do the homework. He didn't want to pursue that line. And I thought, yeah, well, it's your hobby. You do what you want. And then 1.5 years later, I think both Kasparov's trainer and Kasparov himself said basically, well, there's other ways of doing things than our way. It seems to work out fine for Magnus. So I thought, okay, so even Kasparov couldn't really position himself in young Magnus and understand what he needed. No one's...
Now, wait, let me go back. So I think what he's referring to here is he's referring to when Gary played Magnus in Iceland, I believe in 2003 or 2004. And then a couple of years later, he came back and he thought, yeah, what Magnus is doing is working. He's getting near the very, very top.
I was going to give him advice that he doesn't kind of feel strongly about himself. And it worked out quite well.
We're now going to hear from another chess dad. Dr. Rajinikanth has been massively inspired by Henrik Carlsen in bringing up Gukesh.
Yeah, it's just a board game for us. Gukesh proved that it's a professional sport for me, and once he started playing, he got his training, even I started playing. We are basically a very...
Okay, now I have to put it back at 1. I can't do it 1.25. I have to do normal, because otherwise it's a little bit too janky here.
Ordinary middle-class family to start with. Things started changing when we witnessed Carlsen versus Vishy match in Chennai. It was happening in our hometown. So Gukesh was around 6.5 years at that time.
Yeah, so it's really amazing actually how much chess is centered around Chennai specifically versus everywhere else in India. It's kind of wild to think about it.
So we thought like, okay, we'll just take him to the match to have a feel. He got glued to the sport. He was like impressed and he wanted to learn and he started playing.
Vishy must be a huge inspiration and idol for him.
Even Vishy was my inspiration when I was in my college, because apart from cricket, if there is a sportsman, any Indian will know it's Vishy, obviously. So Gukesh was very fond of Vishy till like he attained some strength in chess.
By the way, you guys, this is another very important thing. When you look at this is insane. I don't think there's any other country in the entire world where someone in chess is viewed at that level. Like, legitimately. Like, it says Vishy was my inspiration.
Apart from cricket, if there is a sportsman.
Like, literally, that's like saying that's like saying, I mean, cricket obviously is huge in India, but that's literally like saying in the US that after like basketball, football, NHL, baseball, it's like after that you're going to think of chess players. Like it's like it's just unfathomable how prominent Vishy is. It's crazy. It really is.
Any Indian will know it's Vishy, obviously. So Gukesh was very fond of Vishy.
It might not be true now, you guys, but it was true for a long time. I mean, I would say probably up until the pandemic, I would say it's probably true of Vishy, and now it's receded a little bit. Of course, I don't know. It's probably receded a little, but I would bet up until 2019, Vishy was the man. And now, of course, the rise of the new kids, it's changing a little bit.
Till like he attained some strength in chess, then he started appreciating, okay, Magnus is completely different level in chess, so he is a big fan of Magnus as well now.
Just before we started the interview, you told me that you also found some inspiration in how Henrik and the family brought up Magnus and their approach to chess.
Particularly, I was impressed with how Magnus' family traveled in vans and all those things. As a whole family, they sacrificed a lot of things to go with him, to give him the right atmosphere to play.
What qualities do you think Gukesh has that has made him so good at chess?
He's never tired of doing hard work. Yeah. So, I mean, so nobody has to tell him that you have to do these things. That guy has to be dragged out of his system or chess book or board to make him even eat and sleep when he started. Like my wife's one.
By the way, I'm going to give you guys one hot take for the day in this video. I'm going to give you guys one hot take for the day. And some people might like it, they might not like it. But I had a conversation recently with the guy that I work with, Chris Littlejohn, and he actually said this is one thing, like one of the reasons. I already gave two hot takes. No, I didn't. But one of the things he said is one of his theories as far as why like there aren't more strong women players is specifically because when it comes to boys and girls, that for a boy, it's completely fine to literally sit in your room all day, play video games, do whatever you want, and like just be a little bit off. But like for girls, that's basically like not acceptable social behavior to like sit in a room all day and do that sort of stuff. Now people might get mad at me for this take, but I actually kind of think that it might be somewhat true, that it's like for a boy, it's like if I sit in my room all day, I eat my Cheetos, I play StarCraft or Diablo or whatever, like that's not hot, that's facts. But like, you know, your parents are gonna be like, okay, he's a little bit weird, eventually he'll figure it out. But I think that for girls, it's like if a girl's sitting and studying on ChessBase or playing on chess.com for 10 hours a day, I don't think that it's quite the same. I think girls are held to a slightly different standard, which is kind of a bit of an issue actually. So like, I don't think you can cancel me for that, but I think that is part of the problem. Is like one of the things that will really separate, like I think about my history, for example. Let's just use my history. The amount of hours that I spent like just in my room studying on ChessBase or playing on the internet chess club when I was younger are immense. Like the amount of hours I did that where my parents were like, you know what are you doing? Go outside, go play catch or do those things. Like I didn't have that, and so much of my time was spent just playing on ICC, studying with ChessBase, all this sort of stuff. And I think that that is actually a thing. But like for a boy, you're being like, okay, whatever, he's just being like that, it's okay, whatever. But girls kind of they're not supposed to do that, and I think that's a problem. I think it's a problem here, actually. I think it's really a problem. And I think it plays a huge role, because I think without literally spending many hours on your own, motivating yourself and studying the game of chess, I think it becomes a lot harder to get to the top levels. So yeah, I didn't really want to go on like some long rant or anything, but I actually was thinking about it a little bit more recently. I think it kind of is true. But anyway, let's keep going.
Only complaint was like, you have your food and then go train or something.
See, I mean, this is what I'm saying though. Can you imagine that? He's like literally saying that Gukesh is like, he's sitting in his room and he comes out to eat and then he goes back in his room and he's just studying chess or playing online or whatever. Like, I mean, can you imagine? Like, I mean, I feel like it's true. I feel like boys are allowed to do that, and I don't think that girls are. I think it's like that's like not socially acceptable. So anyway, let's keep going. Hot take, I don't think it's a problem at all. Many people waste their time playing games and throw their lives away. Good on our women for not following that. LOL. Yeah.
That was the only fight at home.
Now, outside of chess, could you...
And by the way, just to be clear, make no mistake that with myself, this is exactly what I did. From probably the time I was 13 until like I was 17, all my time was just playing on the internet chess club or using ChessBase to study. Literally, that's all I did. That's all I did. Other than when my mom basically forced me to take tennis lessons, that was all I did. Literally, it was like every hour I'm in my room studying chess, studying with ChessBase or playing on the internet chess club. Other than the 1 hour on like the Tuesday when I would go when my mom would force me to go take tennis lessons at the Rye Racket Club. But let's keep going.
You describe your son.
For the general public, he looks very introvert and silent, all those things, but he's completely opposite to that. For sure, I can write it. He's naughty to the core, and he is not as he looks outside. Okay. That much I can say. He is very witty. It's very difficult to argue with him. He can come up with any answers, whatever you try to argue with him.
And now he's going to play for the World Championship title. Obviously, we've seen Ding lately not playing as well as he has in the past. Just on fire.
These things are all temporary. We never know. You sleep and wake up morning as a what sort of a person we cannot even imagine. Even during the last World Championship match, Ding was not in very bright shape or very cheerful or something. He looked a little down, but we all saw what he did in the World Championship match.
Are you nervous at all?
For sure. As a parent, I'm always nervous, not only for the World Championship match. So today, if I have the flight, I'm nervous because this guy will make it late all day, always. So I have to wait for him, so I have to make sure he comes on time.
Someone says, I'm surprised you're not training classical music as well. Your mom plays violin. You want me to go get my trumpet and start doing a music stream? I'm not really good at the trumpet, but of course, like anybody, I did music. I did the violin for a few years when I was very young. And then I did a trumpet for a bit. I have a trumpet back in New York. I don't have one in Florida or in California, but I have one back in New York. Let's keep going. But actually, I want to make one last point about the earlier thing is that I think that if you look at any of the absolute top players in chess, any of them, I think that all of them, they basically did what Gukesh did, what Magnus did, what I did, which is like you were in your room a lot of the time just studying chess and focusing on nothing else. Like that is what it takes to become a really, really great chess player. That's what it takes. It takes like literally all the time in the world you're spending on chess.
Don't miss the flight, so he enjoys keeping me tensed. So.
Magnus has been a huge inspiration to so many people, but to hear that you have also inspired must be kind of nice.
Yeah, it's very nice and heartwarming, and it reminds me a bit of when I introduced my kids to chess, because at 4.5, Magnus had shown the ability to focus for hours at a time, and he seemed able to pick up interests, really deep interests. So I told my wife that maybe chess is something for him. But then I had read the wrong kind of books, because I had read a book about the world champions, I think, at the time. The book wrote about Capablanca and how he supposedly had picked up chess by watching his father and a friend play together when Capablanca was 4, I think. And then he had understood the rules and pointed to a mistake. And I think that and some other stories, maybe about the Polgars, made me believe that if you are talented in chess, you will pick it up very quickly. But that was totally erroneous. To make 2 or more pieces work together is extremely difficult.
Oh, yeah.
So I more or less concluded. Of course, I didn't tell them. They were such lovable children that, okay, maybe chess is not for them. I had a world champion in my house, and I thought, well, maybe it's not for them. And then after he had worked a bit on his own, then I understood, well, maybe there's something there after all. So when people say that... my wife...
socially maladjusted. See, after he worked after a while when he'd been sitting in his room like a psychopath studying chess, Magnus's dad realized he had something. Case in point, like all the top players.
My wife and I helped Magnus with his chess career. It's more that we haven't stopped him. And I think we were quite proud of that, because it's very easy to have your own ambitions and priorities and let that influence how you bring up your children. Well, Magnus was allowed to roam free, at least in the chess part, and we probably let him off school homework a bit too easy.
See, again, case in point. Like I said before, case in point. You can see exactly what I'm saying here. It's the same thing. It's like they were easy on him with the schoolwork, and he's spending all his time playing. He's spending all his time in his room playing chess or studying chess, like all the top players. Every top player has done that. Yeah, every top player is like that. It doesn't matter who you are. Every top player is like that. So, yeah, that's why my theory, I think, holds some water. Actually, it holds some water. Magnus' dad looks like Jeff Bezos. Actually, I had a dream last night. Jeff Bezos was in my dream. I don't think I want to say the dream because it'll annoy people, so I won't say it. But let's keep going with the video.
Sometimes because he wasn't really motivated. When he was motivated, he was an excellent student.
Well, I can say I've seen Magnus do some pub quizzes at the Good Night, and he's
So yeah, basically last night when I was sleeping, I had a dream that there was one of my friends in Seattle. I went to his house on Mercer Island, and for whatever reason, I was at his house, and Bezos showed up, and like for whatever reason, we just started laughing at We just started basically someone else was there. They were talking about like, I don't know, about like bus tickets or those sorts of things. And then for some reason at some point like both of us just started breaking out laughing with that like the rich man laugh thing. We just started breaking out laughing at like at what the person was saying because it was just so absurd to us. But let's keep going with the video at any rate. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No. We just started breaking out laughing. It's like the rich man laugh. Okay, let's keep going with the video.
very good at like pub quizzes. So his general knowledge, even if he didn't do a lot of homework, must still be very, very good.
And in fact, when we played Trivial Pursuit, when maybe he was 11 or 12, we had to play the whole family against him to beat him.
Really?
Yes.
But that must be the memory part as well, right? If you read something once, he just remembers it probably.
Well, but that's not entirely true either. He has a good memory, but I think it's the logical memory that is exceptional, if anything. Because if he can see something and relate it to something, then it sticks, basically. So therefore, he was so into these to geography and the sizes of countries, the number of inhabitants. And when he put together his Legos, he would typically weigh them as a comparison.
Wow.
That's probably not that normal for a 4-year-old.
I can't imagine that's not too normal.
So looking back, maybe he was more extraordinary as a kid than I thought at the time.
Yeah.
At least he's done well in chess. So
I would say
this comes back to a very important point. I don't think, I mean, Magnus's dad sort of said this a little bit, not completely, but one thing that's very important here is that Magnus, I think Magnus said this himself, is that it's selective memory. So it's like with myself, I have great memory, but if I don't have any motivation or interest in something, like I can't remember to save my life. So for example, if someone gives me like a Julia Child book tomorrow, for example, on cooking, like because I'm not really into cooking, I can look at the book, but all whatever I read or whatever I look at, the recipes, like it's gonna be in one ear, out the other ear. Like I'm just gonna forget it as soon as I put the book down because I don't have an interest. But for example, if you get me some book on, I don't know, like architecture, for example, or like the great architecture, in the U.S. from like the glory days, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, like the Chrysler building, like what's it, Art Deco or this sort of stuff, I'll probably remember it perfectly because I actually am interested. And this is the same thing that with Magnus. Is that with chess, he loves it. With things like geography, he loves it. But I think Magnus said this in the 60 Minutes interview too, where it's like, if it's something he doesn't like, it's gone. He can read it and then it's just completely gone. What are you guys saying? It means relevance, attention memory? Maybe. I don't study this sort of stuff, so I don't know, but possibly.
Yes, and speaking of which, we just heard from Gukesh's father, and this family is now getting ready for their first World Championship match. And Henrik, looking back 11 years in time, you guys were doing exactly the same. What do you remember from that time getting ready for Magnus to play Vishenand in Chennai?
I mean, it's hard to think of anything larger in life than Chennai 2013. Yeah. The team around Magnus, we didn't sleep as much as we used to, but it didn't matter. Wow. You were so energized by being there, and I think the exotic nature of the different sounds, smells, tastes, media interests.
Yeah.
It was larger than life, basically. And then Magnus, he was quite nervous.
Yeah.
That's a key element in a World Championship match. When you play your first game in your first World Championship match, you cannot be prepared, basically. There's no way to prepare properly for that, I think. The first game, Magnus, he struggled in his first game.
I think I remember footage of like his hand actually
Yeah, and especially
shaking.
in the second game, his hands were shaking a couple of times. He was losing his pieces.
Oh, really?
Lawrence
Wow.
Trent was commenting and pointing this out, and that was part of the documentary about Magnus. Another story, I remember one of the critics of the film said that it was unrealistic to spend time pointing out that he lost the piece. Don't you understand anything? He's been picking up these pieces a million times.
Yeah.
If he
Yeah.
loses it, it means he cannot hold on to it. So nervous is he. He was trembling basically in the second game. The third game was quite nervous, but when he survived the third game, then he put his leg above the other, leaned back, and then kind of, okay, you got your chance, you didn't take it, now it's my turn, basically.
Yeah.
And then he was completely at ease. It changed overnight, basically. And that's normally a very big challenge for a young player, like Gukesh at 18th, playing a World Championship match. But then again, I'm so impressed by the calmness and state of mind of these young Indian players in general. And that makes me a bit nervous. They're very promising young players because they have this inner calm.
Well, it remains to be seen, though,
Yeah.
if Gukesh will keep it when he arrives
No.
to
But
fight to become the young.
you guys, when you talk about like maybe he's not as mentally strong as we think, it's just because it was his first World Championship match. Now, I mean, it is it's basically the only thing in chess that I can't speak to from like a personal level because I've never been there. But what I would say for myself is that when I played the candidates in 2016 in Moscow, I don't think I was dropping pieces or shaking quite like that, but I was very nervous. So it is a thing for everybody because basically the point with chess is there's certain tournaments that matter a lot more than others. So like with the candidates or the World Championship, those are like the big ticket items, like the dreams that you have. So it's much different than just playing a one-off tournament, which is why in many cases when you look at historically, I would actually argue, like for my career when I look back later, if not for my performances in 2022 and 2024, I think historically I would actually rank much lower than where I'm going to rank once I'm all said and done, because certain events are just more important. And so that's why like the nerves and everything else play a huge role. And that's why, like, you know, if you look at Levon Aroni, for example, great player historically, amazing player, top 2 in the world for a long period. But he always did terribly in the candidates. He completely fell apart every single time that he was there. So so I completely get this point of how, like, you know, like Magnus being super nervous, like everybody gets really, really nervous. Why did I never play the World Championship? I mean, I was unlucky. I lost the critical game to Ding. And ironically, I got second this time when I needed to get first this time, and I need to get second last time. So yeah, but it's not I mean, it's not a big deal for me, but the point is that like there are different levels. The levels are a thing. Choke is real. It's not so much choke because I didn't think second place mattered at the time. It's more that I thought the event was over and I relaxed a little bit too quickly. I thought that it was a draw and the game against Ding was a draw, and I thought I'd get second, I'd be happy. I didn't have any thoughts about the World Championship, but then I made one wrong move and then I just kind of fell apart mentally, and it happens. And Ding played a great game. To his credit, Ding played a great game in that final game of the 2022 candidates. In 2020, in this past one, 2024, I don't really think that I was that close. Because the reality is, I mean, I didn't get what I wanted against Gukesh. If I gotten chances against Gukesh, I got the advantage. It's a different story. But I never really had a chance in this last one. And, you know, I'm at peace with all of that. It's not like I have, like, any kind of, like, I'm not like, oh, my God, it's a huge regret. Oh, my God, all this stuff. I don't have any of those thoughts. But let's keep going with the interview.
Youngest world champion in history, because you say it's a very special, very unique thing, the World Championship match. And you mentioned that Magnus in his first match, especially those 3 games, the 3 first games, he was extremely nervous. Can you bring us into behind the scenes?
Nah.
What was he like right after the games, right before the games, when he was only hanging out with you and his close team members.
So Magnus, he was quite tense, especially before the second game. Okay. So we understood, okay, no small talk. And then you could again see how he was more or less shaking.
For you as a father, what was it like to see that?
Well, it was not so bad. I was still a fairly young man and excited about being there.
Yeah.
To me, it was not essential that Magnus won that match, basically. He's playing Anand in Chennai. He's not ill.
So if you were to, having been through this, having been successful with this, Magnus did win, do you have any advice for the Gukesh family? How to handle the pressure and the tension that they are now about to face?
Well, again, he seems like such a well-rounded, calm young man. I'm sure they're doing fine. They just have to get through game one, basically. That's if that's not a challenge, then they're not human. I mean, it's quite a challenge to play your first World Championship game.
Yeah. Gukesh was born in Chennai in 2006. He was 7 years old when he witnessed Magnus Carlsen becoming the 16th World Chess Champion. 11 years later, he is fighting to become number 18.
Gold medal with India. What did that mean for you and for the team?
For me personally, it was just to feel good about myself, to erase the tragedy that happened last time. It was something that I really wanted for the last 2 years. And so it was something really special for me.
What is it about chess that you just love so much?
The fact that chess is so complex and like there are things to learn every day. I mean, every day when you work on chess, I always keep learning something new.
Your father just told me that maybe your biggest strength as a chess player is your work ethic and how hard you work on the game.
It's just natural for me to sit with chess the whole day. I mean, it sometimes feels like hard work because when things are not going well, everything feels like you have to put more effort, but that's just a very emotional reaction. The fact is I love chess.
We put on a position on this board just before we started, a position from your game yesterday. So when we were sitting here talking, are you thinking about the position?
I think not consciously, but yeah, subconsciously, I was already trying to figure out how the game progressed from here. Probably when I was younger, I used to get dreams about chess. Yeah, nowadays it's not like that, but I'm sure there's something running subconscious.
Magnus Carlsen, this is his first World Championship match.
Your father also told me that you went to see the match between Vishy and Magnus in Chennai in 2013.
Yeah, I have. I mean, I was very young at that time. I don't remember all the things that happened. The whole spectator area was fully packed, so we didn't have any seats, so we were standing in the back row and watching the games. That time, it was around this time I started playing chess, just learning chess, and it was such a huge event happening, like very close to home. For sure it sparked some kind of interest.
Are you surprised, sort of, that 11 years later, only 11 years later,
Gukesh
you are the
was
one
40
sitting in
and
that chair,
18.
the one fighting to become world champion?
I really don't think about it that much. Even the time I became a grandmaster or the time I became like really good at chess, I was too young to think about any of this stuff. I was like 12 when I became a grandmaster. So I didn't know what a career was.
Today actually marks that it is 2 months until the opening ceremony of the World Championship.
This was done during the Olympiad, by the way.
The match?
Right now, I think there's not a lot of nerves going on. I mean, still 2 months is a long time. But I'm sure I'll feel some kind of nerves, like as the match gets closer.
With recent results, we have to admit that you are now the favorite and Ding is the underdog for the match. Does that make you more nervous? Are you feeling pressure at all?
He's gonna say he isn't.
I don't. In general, I don't see the point of like making predictions for any tournament. It's just about me doing the right things.
How much you want it to become world champion?
From the time when I was a little kid, I thought it'll be really cool to be up there. Now I have the opportunity and I'm grateful for it. So.
Now, what will the next 2 months look like? What is your plan now?
I'll be resting, I'll be preparing, maybe play something. The main focus is, on getting ready for the match. I'll just try to do the best I can.
We have 2 players and we have no idea what to expect from.
He has the spark which we see in champions.
They've been waiting for this moment for so long.
From the time when I was a little kid.
I haven't lost in classical.
That's it?
Gukesh, the player that everyone is talking about these days, getting ready for his first ever World Championship match, like Magnus did in 2013. And do you see anything of Magnus in 18-year-old Gukesh?
Far too much, unfortunately.
Oh.
I mean, and Gukesh, he was a grandmaster at extremely young age. And now some of the tournaments he's playing at the peak of human capacity, historically, basically, all the way up there with Magnus and Kramnik and Kasparov, he's just a formidable chess force.
I haven't really spoken much to Gukesh in
sure
person. No, I haven't.
His
dad is very nice.
Yeah.
His dad is a very nice person.
He's also an extremely talented and difficult player to play.
Any chance Magnus will come back and try to stop Gukesh?
I think he was asked that question once also, and he wouldn't totally dismiss it, but it's not very likely, I think. And Gukesh is already so strong, maybe it's too late already.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Henrik. I experienced something when I did this interview with Gukesh, because before the interview, I had set up a position on the chessboard in front of him. It was from a previous game Gukesh had played. And I could see that during the interviews, his eyes would close.
Of course, I've spoken to Magnus and his dad many times, of course, many times. You know, I think what I would say is the thing is, it's not even just Gukesh. Like, Arjun is also very, Arjun is a very strong player, too. Very strong player as well. So, I mean, there are multiples. I mean, even if Gukesh wins, I wouldn't be shocked if you have Arjun being the next world champion, for example.
Constantly go down to the chessboard, and it reminded me so much of the many interviews I'd done with Magnus as well. Whenever we have a chessboard there,
he said that many years ago in an interview, like, well, how do you work on chess? Well, I don't work so much discipline, but I always think about chess.
Yeah,
I think now Magnus can sometimes get chess out of his head, because that's I used to say that's the challenge between tournaments. It's not to prepare for the next, it's to get chess a bit out of your head. So it's not always there. And I think you have to have that passion. So if you can look at the chessboard with a position without trying to recognize it, then you're not a top chess player.
Yeah. Has it been, I wouldn't say maybe a problem, but a reoccurring situation at the dinner table at the Carlsen house with the Magnus, or not really participating in? How's your day been like, conversations, because he's thinking about chess?
We had 2 tables, and he sat at his own with the chessboard while he was eating.
Really?
We accepted that. We couldn't really connect with him without kind of, Magnus, hey, what's...
Someone who definitely thinks there are similarities between Gukesh and Magnus is a man who has followed both of them closely. He is the founder of ChessBase India, Sagar Shah.
Yeah.
I feel like the way in which Magnus rose through the ranks, oh my God, he's just coming and winning and not stopping. And perhaps that's the same thing we are noticing about Gukesh. We think, oh, here he is, cross 2750. Maybe he will stop now. No, he wins the candidates. Oh, now he will, maybe something will happen. Oh, he crosses 2800, becomes the world champion. So maybe, something similar there, that they are just,
you know what's funny though?
Course,
you know what's funny is when Sagar says this, without knowing who he's talking about, I honestly would say, like, wait, he's talking about Arjun. That's what's crazy. That's actually what's crazy about this. Is that when you hear Sagar saying this, like, it literally sounds like he's talking about Arjun, but he's actually talking about Gukesh.
Can you describe Gukesh as a chess player? What is his style? What is his strength?
He is fearless. When he started off his chess journey till Grandmaster stage, he did not use a chess engine. He worked on his own, with his own mind. So this is very unique in the world of chess, that someone actually did not use engine to become a GM. And he loves to work on his own. I think that is one of the skills which very few kids have. They need someone to push them. Once I asked Gukesh that here is a position, it's very complicated. Can you find the right answer? And he said, the only reason where I cannot find the right answer is if I don't have enough time. If there's enough time, give me any position and I'll find the right answer. And I think this is also his attitude, which is like, the sky is the limit for him. Nothing is impossible.
What is he like as a person?
Very authentic. Whatever he is, he comes across that way. Always very
whatever, you guys, whatever.
To the people around him. Kids look at him in a way that they want to emulate him. He has this style. This is his style. And I very much feel that little kids many of them will start doing this. They already close their eyes, like him before the game, sit still. This is also something he does. So I think he's becoming kind of a role model. He didn't go to school from the 5th grade onwards. So maybe him becoming a world champion might also open up minds of people saying that, oh, the traditional approach is not the way you need to follow always. You can take some bold steps and it can work out.
Well, here with Arjun Erigaisi, who is an Olympic gold medalist with India. Congratulations.
Thank you. The team really played like amazing chess. I don't think ever in history there has been a victory with so much dominance and a margin. So I'm very happy that we could win gold for India.
Being a team member with Gukesh here and having seen his results, can you give us some insight to his mentality? What's it been like here?
Yeah, I mean, he has the spark which we see in champions, which you see in like Garry Kasparov, Magnus, all the greats. And he has that champion mentality. In all his actions, in his thinking, it's visible.
Is he just on fire all the time?
Yeah, he has this go for the kill attitude all the time.
Yeah, he's a fighter and just wants to fight every game.
How would you describe Gukesh outside of chess?
He's very mature actually for his age. And he knows how to switch on and switch off. So after the tournament, he's a completely different person. But during tournament, it's like game time. He doesn't want to mess around. But after the tournament, he's more relaxed. He's completely chill. So there are two sides of him.
I noticed Gukesh around the time when he became a grandmaster. So he was 12 then, and he was one of the youngest grandmasters of all time. Then he played in one of the Champions Chess Tours events back in 2021. And you could sense that he had something. He was playing an extremely ambitious kind of chess that was not quite the same as the others. And at that time, like, he didn't have the strength to actually sustain that. So he lost a lot of games. But I think I drew my game against him, and he was actually better in that game. And I was thinking, like, this is a guy who's really, really trying to play proper, ambitious.
I mean, of course, I remember it very well because that would be the Chess Champions Tour where I beat Gukesh in the semifinals. And he played. There was this Nimzo Indian game where he played this H4, H5 idea, which I remember quite well.
I felt like he definitely had something.
And how do you compare Gukesh to yourself at 18? Do you see yourself in him?
I mean,
I think Gukesh and I are very different players. I'm probably a lot more.
I mean, I think for everybody who's asking, here's what I would say. I think that objectively, if I look at pure talent, Alireza is, I think, the best player. If I look at talent of the youngsters, Alireza, in my opinion, by pure talent, is the best of the best. Now, obviously, I'm a little bit biased. I've played him many times online in Blitz. And of course, I played him over the board. But by like pure talent and ability, Alireza is the best. There's no doubt in my mind about that. The problem with Alireza is there are a lot of other things. There's a lot of bags, a lot of these other things around him, which make it very difficult. But by pure style, Alireza is without a doubt the best of the juniors. His ability to find the best move, the natural intuition, the feel for the game is better than anyone else. Not even close, actually, in my opinion. But again, it takes more than just pure talent to get to the top.
More intuitive than he is, less calculation based. In terms of raw strength, I think we're similar, although I was probably like a little bit better, I would say, but he's very good.
Magnus, he was the champion for 10 years. Have you seen a change in him?
Yeah.
Since walking away from the pressure?
His shoulders fell down a bit.
Really?
Yeah, because we went into the first World Championship match saying that, well, just look at it as a tournament. It's just that you play the same player in every round of the tournament. But it's not the same. You cannot bring your mind to think about it that way. It's the most intense thing you can do as a chess player, also because there's one winner and there's only one loser. In a tournament, there are many people who don't win.
Yeah.
But in the match, you spent maybe half a year preparing.
True.
And all your energy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people are more or less willing to die, to extend themselves to do their best. And then you end up losing. You have nothing, basically. The stakes are really high.
Yeah.
I mean, in a World Championship match. And in a way, you miss it a little bit, but then you also can let go, basically, because it's not any longer always on your mind. So even for someone like Magnus, chess is not his whole life. He's still a young man, so maybe one day he'll miss the exciting part of it so much that he'll try again, but I doubt it, basically.
Ooh. I'll stop you before I'll doubt it. Maybe we'll just cut that out, Henrik, because I think not only Norwegians, but the whole world would love to see Magnus Carlsen give it a try another time for the World Chess Championship match. We have been talking about the pressure, and the pressure is on for young Gukesh. And remember that you can highlight your favorite players in the Take app and get notified when they play, and you can check out their player cards. And here is David Howell and Magnus Carlsen discussing all the things that make Gukesh the chess player that he is.
Before we dig into the numbers, thoughts on him?
Gukesh is doing
Actually,
amazing.
wait. We already saw this in another. We saw this bit in another video, didn't we? I think they did a separate video of this Magnus on Gukesh and they stitched it into here because I definitely watched this bit already. Yeah, I watched this yesterday. I'm pretty sure I watched this yesterday. So, all right, I think that's a good spot to stop. Actually, the timing is pretty much perfect since Arena Kings is coming up. I mean, pretty good video. I like the insights generally. Yeah, I mean, I generally think the comparisons between Magnus and Gukesh are a little bit questionable. I don't really look at them as the same kind of player, mainly because I look at Magnus as just having this awesome feel for the game. I mean, we watched the interview with Anish the other day too. But Magnus's natural feel for the game is just out of this world. There's no one who's even close. Whereas Gukesh is very much about the methodical calculation, working everything out and coming to the right answer. So I actually, with what Magnus said, I agree with him more than I do with the others, trying to make some comparisons between the two, because I don't think it's really accurate. But of course, at the end of the day, they're both very, very strong players. And we have the match coming up, so it's going to be fun to watch. And we'll see what happens. But on that note, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure that you smash that subscribe button below, and we'll be back with some more great content in the near future. See you guys. Bye.